Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having a magical day. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is released into Arena on February 10th in just a few days. We do have a few spoilers to wrap up. We'll discuss the remaining 80-some cards that we haven't covered in this spoiler/set review series so far. Links for the previous videos in the pinned comment down below if you're interested in seeing the other cards that were in the set, not included in today's video. Not only this, but we have begun theory crafting, and I'll reveal to you all the decks I've been working on for the set. Spoiler, we have almost 25 of them. Woof. So first things first, we need to wrap up with the spoilers before we showcase some of these new decks. If you want to support the channel, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share to your friends. Alrighty, last video we ended with the Go Shinati of Lost Wisdom for 2. Beautiful, a lot of shrines that are enchantment creatures, making the Historic Shrines deck quite competitive. Moving on to our first new card, Farewell for 6 sorcery speed. Choose one or more. Exile all artifacts, creatures, enchantments, and or graveyards. This is a lot of value for 6 mana. Bronze Cudgels for 1. An artifact equipment, pay 2. Until the end of turn, equipped creature gets +X/+0, where X is the number of times this ability has resolved this turn. Equip for 1. Interesting. That's some limited shenanigans for sure, and I don't even think it's that great. It is a good mana sink, but +X/+0, +X/+X might be better, unless the creature has First Strike and hopefully Trample. Moving on to the Patchwork Automation for 2. This is a 1/1 artifact creature construct with Ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the automation. This is actually fairly decent. It's an uncommon, so you can be getting multiple copies of this in your limited pool. And, with affinity to artifacts, this could be fun too in the Historic Artifact deck. Moving on to the Kami of Transcience. This, for 2 mana, Spirit 2/2 with Trample, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kami. At the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return the Kami from your graveyard to your hand. So this is actually going to be really nice. We have been working on a Selesnya enchantment/self mill deck, and this is going to be one of the core pieces within it, just generating a ton of value to the field state. The Legendary Plains, Inganjo, Seat of the Empire. Tap for plains, channel for 3 to discard it, dealing 4 damage to attacking or blocking creature, 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. I really, really like this, and definitely this is going into the newest version of Milky Smooth Mono White Aggro as it comes up, because, we have Thalia, we have Redain, we have Adeline. There are plenty of legendary creatures that can reduce the cost of this, and it's just good removal. Plus land, right? The Remnant of the Rising Star is the backside of Jugon defending the temple, or defends the temple for 3. Mythic, when it enters, create a 1/1 green monk creature token, and it can tap to add 1 green to our pool. Next up, add a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures, and then finally, exile and transform the Saga into a 2/2 with flying, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X when you do put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. And as long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant of the Rising Star gets +5/+5 and has Trample, bringing it to 7/7 with Tramples, right? So that's pretty aggressive for 3 mana, potentially coming out, with that 7/7 is going to be pretty bonkers, right? Moving on, we have the Long Reach of Night for 4. Each opponent sacrifices a creature unless they discard a card. Pretty decent, right, for 4 mana, the double discard/sacrifice, and then exile and transformed into a 0/4 with Menace, and whenever it attacks, it gets +X/+0 until the end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in defending player's graveyard. That's actually really, really good. Really good with the discard, fill their graveyard. If they have a mill deck, this is going to punish them so aggressively. The fact that this is an uncommon for 4 that does generate a creature that can grow in size quite substantially as the game goes on. And, you know, it's just a good defender in the meantime. Very nice limited card here with the long reach of Knight. I quite enjoy that. Moving on to Kumano faces Kakazan. Pardon on my pronunciation, you guys. So sorry. For 1 mana, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. And then when you cast your next creature spell this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Meh. And then the exile transform, 2/2 with haste. If creature dealt damage this turn would, by a source you control, would die. Exile it instead, which is not a bad effect. That's pretty cool, but, you know, I guess for 1 mana, it's not bad, right? It's dealing damage, you get a counter on a creature, plus you get a 2/2 with haste that can exile things. That's actually fairly good base value for 1. Invoke the Ancients for 5 sorcery speed. Create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of Vigilance, Reach, or Trample counters on them, which will modify them, which is fairly decent. Sorcery speed is a bummer, but 2 4/5s with Trample, can't complain. Or potentially Reach if you're against some of the dragon decks, right? March of Swirling Mist for 1 blue plus X at instant speed as a rare. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. It costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way, and up to X target creatures phase out. Pretty decent. I actually love this. You can use this in a tempo deck. You can use this in a controlled deck. I think it works well across the board. Colossal Sky Turtle for 7 mana as an uncommon. Woof, an enchantment creature turtle. Flying, Ward 2 as a 6/5. This is a limited bomb. Channel for 3 to discard it to return a card from your graveyard to your hand. You can also discard it an additional way for only 2 to return target creature to its owner's hand. Wow. That's actually not that bad. Discarding it to return creature to its owner's hand. It's like an expensive unsummon. However, you can grab something from the graveyard back to our hand, and you can have a body in play. So as far as collecting cards for a free-to-play deck, this is going to be good. This is also going to be very, very good and limited, like I said, because it's going to be super accessible. And it's, you know, a massive flyer that does other things and can protect itself with wards. So I would love to be building Selesnya decks for this in limited. We will have a bit of a limited review coming up in the following days as well. We've got some lands. They enter tapped, we gain life. The Crag, the Caves, the Sands, the Backwater, the Cove, and then the Uncharted Haven enters tapped. Choose a color, and then add 1 mana of any color. So it's nice in the multicolored decks for draft, because you'll see this card popping up a lot, as it is just a common. We have the Highlands, the Barrens, the Cliffs, and the Falls. Again, just adding 1 life, coming in tapped, like the life gain decks needed a little bit more, right? And then, of course, the Hollow. Moving on, the Thundersteel Colossus for 7/7/7 Flying Trample Crew 2 as a artifact vehicle. Pretty expensive, but again, limited. 7/7 with haste and trample. Not bad. You will have to crew it, which is a stipulation, but I'm sure that's not the worst. The Shrine Steward for 5, a 3/2, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. It's a little bit expensive, right? This is fairly expensive. There's already the Shrine, not in Standard, mind you, in Historic, that can just pull shrines out of your deck at will, right? That multicolor shrine. The Searchlight Companion for 3 is an artifact creature drone with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. It itself is a 1/1, and I actually don't mind this. The spirit creature token won't have flying, which is a bummer. This does, but you get 2 artifacts or 2 creatures for 1 card. Not the greatest, but definitely could be worse. Patchwork Automation for 2, 1/1 with Ward 2, and whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the automation. I feel like we've already talked about that. Or maybe it was just earlier on in my day that I've been looking at it. This is nice, right? It's going to get bigger, it's going to get better every time that you cast an artifact spell, so I really do like that. Paperwork Craft Decoy for 2, a 2/1, and when it leaves the battlefield, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card. This is a frog. Nice. That's pretty cool, right? We need more frogs in game. Ninja's Kunai. Yeah, woof. For 1 mana, as an artifact equipment, equipped creature gets pay 1, tap it, sacrifice the knife to deal 3 damage to any target. I guess it's colorless removal. It's removal available to all colors, right? That's going to be good and limited. If you're, missing a little bit of early game removal, this can help you out. The Network Terminal for 3 artifact, tap to add mana of any color. We do like those. And then we can pay 1 tap to add another, to tap another untapped artifact you control to draw a card, then discard a card. Oh, interesting. So this is a 3 mana rock or whatever you want to call it. Typical base value, but you can also draw and discard here as an additional get around. So that's pretty decent, right? I don't mind that. I think that's pretty cool. The Iron Apprentice for 1, a 0/0, and when it enters the battlefield, it will do so with a +1/+1 counter on it. And when it dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on a creature you control. So that's actually not that bad. 1 mana artifact creatures are always a lot of fun. The Ecologist Terrarium for 2 mana as an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. It's been a long day. We can also pay 2 to tap it, sacrifice it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate at sorcery speed. Yeah, I mean, the land consistency is nice, right? You're always going to have that third land, which is good. And then putting a counter on something is decent. If it was at instant speed, it'd be a lot better. Eater of Virtue. This is actually a good card. For 1, a legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature dies, you will exile it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, and as long as a card exiled with the Eater of Virtue has, it will have flying. Equipped creature will also gain flying. So if you have a creature with flying with the virtue attached to it, that creature dies. It actually exiles itself instead, but then the sword or the Eater of Virtue will basically gain that keyword, which is pretty cool. And the same is true with flying, first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, and vigilance, which is really quite interesting, right? We have the Dramatis Puppet. 2/4. When it enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on target permanent, put another counter of that kind on it or remove one from it. That is interesting. Indeed. Moving on, Seasons of Renewal for 3, instant speed, choose 1 or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Just play Balagad's Recovery. You know what I mean? Tomeo Safekeeping for 1, instant speed, target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn, and you gain 2 life. That's fantastic. Indestructible from destroy effects, protection from exile effects or bounce effects, right? And you're gaining life, which is fantastic. This also protects non-creatures. It protects your lands. It protects your artifacts, your enchantments, your planeswalkers. So Tomeo Safekeeping is fire. Automated Artificer for 2 is a 1/2. We can tap it to add generic mana for an artifact spell. If you have an artifact deck, that's going to be nice turn 2 ramp, right? The Brute Suit, nice name, for 3, 4/3 Vigilance, crew 1. I guess, that's actually maybe not the worst. Crew 1 for 4/3 is pretty cool. The Grafted Growth for 3, enchant land. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on a vehicle you control. That'll modify it. And then add 2 mana of any one color on that land that's been enchanted. Harmonious Emergence for 4. Enchanted land is a 4/5 spirit creature token with vigilance and haste. It is still a land, and if enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice a Harmonious Emergence, and the land will gain indestructible until the end of turn. So they can still exile the land. Unfortunately, they can't destroy it though. The Jukai Preserver for 4. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Channel, which means we can discard it for 3 to put a +1/+1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures we control. This is a fairly decent card. Look out for that in your limited builds. Master's Rebuke for 2, instant speed. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Excellent removal within green for your limited matches. Draft and Sealed, of course, is what I'm referencing. Maizen Studio. Careful Cultivation for 3. Enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+3, has reach, and can tap to add 2 green to your pool. Channel to discard for 2 to create a 1/1 green human monk creature token. Wow. Okay, this is a good card. Careful Cultivation. So the fact that you can discard it for 2 to make a 1/1 human that can tap to add green to your pool. Very, 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 very good. It makes it basically an emergent ultimatum in some aspects, right? Just the mana. It's not a creature. This is a creature. They're both creatures, but that one's a land. They both make mana, though, right? So it's a little bit of a difference here. But the double, like if you enchant a creature, it can double produce. And if... Oh, man, this is just decent. This is a fairly enjoyable... Like, typically, auras are really bad. I don't like auras because it's negative net value. There's a contact point. You go to equip it to your... Like, you play it, it's on the stack, and then you're like, okay, now you have to target the creature, and then they remove that creature, right? You get nothing. But this is good because of the channel value. I like it. Commune with spirits for 1 sorcery speed. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land from among them. Put it into your hand, the rest in the bottom in random order. Fade into Antiquity for 3. Exile target artifact or enchantment. I guess. Favor of Jukai for 4. Enchant land or creature. +3/+3 and reach if it's a creature. Channel for 2 as well to give something +3/+3 and reach until the end of turn. That's actually not that bad either. I'm liking the channel mechanic here. That's really juicy. Channel's going to win matches in Limited without a doubt. The Scrapyard Steelbreaker for 4, 3/4. We can pay 1, sacrifice another artifact. It's going to get +2/+1 until the end of turn. The Toashi Song Shaper for 2. It's a 2/2, and whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. The Voltage Surge for 1. Instant speed. This is nice. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may sacrifice an artifact, deal 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a spell's additional cost was paid, it'll deal 4 damage instead. Good removal. 4 damage to artifact or planeswalker. Sorry, creature or planeswalker. 4 damage for 1 mana. That's great. Potentially for sacrificing something. The Bearer of Memory for 3, 3/2 enchantment creature, human monk, pay 6, put a +1/+1 counter on target enchantment creature. It gains trample until the end of turn. That trample is really nice. Kindled Fury for 1, instant speed, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until the end of turn. Kami's Flare for 2, instant speed, dealing 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. It also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller if you control a modified creature. I like it. Ironhoof Boar, it's a 5/4 for 6, trample haste, channel for 2. Discarding it, putting +3/+1 and trample on target creature. That is very, very good. We love the trample. Gift of Wrath for 4, enchantment aura, artifact or creature. If it's a creature, +2/+2 menace. When it leaves the battlefield, create a 2/2 red spirit with menace. Explosive Entry for 2, sorcery speed, destroy up to 1 target artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Experimental Synthesizer, love it. For 1 mana, artifact, whenever it or another artifact enters the... Whenever it enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of turn, you may play that card. Then we can pay 3 to sacrifice it to create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance at sorcery speed. That's actually not that bad. There's good value here. Crackling Emergence for 2. Enchant Land. Enchanted Land is a 3/3 spirit with haste. It's still land, and if Enchanted Land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice the Emergence. That land gains indestructible until the end of turn. So we've seen that green card that did a similar thing, right? So there's maybe a Gruul land aggro deck sitting in here for limited, potentially. Ambitious Assault for 3, instant speed, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. If you control a modified creature, draw a card. Whoop-de-doo. Into black. Virus Beetle for 2, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Undercity Scoundrel for 3, 1/4. Tap it. Create a treasure. This is good. Only if a creature died this turn. Pretty decent still. It itself is an artifact creature. Twisted Embrace for 4. Enchant artifact or creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target planeswalker and opponent controls. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1. Seems expensive, but removal is always important and limited. Creature or planeswalker is always great, and it's only 4, right? Not the worst. Return to action for 2, instant speed. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains lifelink. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. That's not bad. That's pretty nice. Really cool art here as well. Kami of Restless Shadows for 5. This is a 3/3 spirit creature. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Return up to one target ninja or rogue from your graveyard to your hand, or put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Kami of Terrible Secrets for 4. A 3/4 creature spirit. When it enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact and enchantment, you draw a card and gain 1 life. Reckoner Shakedown for 3. Sorcery speed. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card. If they don't, put 2+1/+1 counters on vehicle you control or creature, of course. And then Reckoner's Bargain for 2 as an instant speed. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. You gain life equal to the sacrifice permanent's mana value and draw 2 cards. Actually fairly decent. Kaedo's Pursuit for 3. Sorcery speed. Target player discards 2 cards, ninjas and rogues, that you control, gain menace until the end of turn. Meh. Depth to the Kami for 3. Instant speed, choose 1. Target opponent exiles a creature they control. Target opponent exiles an enchantment they control. Decent removal within black. Crawling Torment for 1. An aura, artifact or creature. As long as it's a creature, it gets -1 and cannot block. And as long as enchanted permanent has at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. So, this is going to kind of nullify one of their blockers, make it less strong to attack you, and it's going to hit them for chip damage or drain damage. The Chain Flail Centipede for 3, 2/2, artifact, creature, equipment, insect. Whenever it or an equipped creature attacks, it gets +2/+0 until the end of turn, so it attacks as a 4/2. Reconfigure, which is the equip cost for 2 here. Decent. Into blue, Suit Up for 3. Instant speed until end of turn. Target creature or vehicle becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/5. Draw a card. Ooh, wow. Oh, woof. I like that quite a bit. Sky Swimmer Koi for 4. 3/3 with flying. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Short Circuit for 2 with flash as an enchantment aura. Artifact or creature, as long as it is a permanent, is a creature, it gets -3, -0, and loses flying. Meh. Planar Incision for 2. Instant speed, exile target artifact or creature, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. I guess. Right? We see some flicker. There's going to be a Azorius flicker here, potentially. The Moonfolk Puzzle Maker for 3. Artifact creature, Moonfolk Wizard, 1/4 with flying, and when it becomes tapped, scry 1. That's decent. Tapping for crew abilities. Mnemonic Sphere for 2. Artifact, pay 2, sacrifice it, draw 2 cards. Discard it to draw a single card. I really like that. That's quite decent. The Mirror Shell Crab for 7. 5/7, ward 3, channel 3. Counter target spell or an ability unless its controller pays 3. Interesting. The plot thickens. So that's a thing. Featureless Sentinel for 4. 6/6, crew 3. That's it. That's 6/6. I mean, woof. Regent's Authority for 1. Instant speed. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's an enchantment creature or legendary creature, instead put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. Repel the Vial for 4. Instant speed, choose 1. Exile target creature with power 4 or greater. Exile target enchantment. That's nice. Wanderer's Intervention for 2. Instant speed, 4 damage to a target attacking or blocking creature. Disruption Protocol for 2 blue. Instant speed is an additional cost to cast this spell. Tap an untapped artifact you control or pay 1 to counter target spell. That's actually really good. Counter target spell for 2 if you tap an artifact. Woof! And what if your artifact happens to be this puzzle maker that lets you scry 1? Woof! Cool beans. Moving on, we have the Moth Rider Patrol for 1. 1/1 with flying, pay 4, tap target creature. That's always going to be fun and limited. Lucky Offering for 1, destroy target artifact with mana value 3 or less. You gain 3 life. Kite Sun Ace for 2. Fox Pilot, 2/2. Whenever a vehicle you control attacks, choose 1. That vehicle gains first strike, or you can untap the ace. Intercessor's Arrest for 3. Enchant permanent. Enchanted permanent can't attack or block or crew. or its activated abilities cannot be activated unless they're mana abilities. Imperial Recovery Unit for 3, a 3/4, and whenever it attacks, return target creature or vehicle card from your graveyard with mana value 2 or less to your hand. Imperial Oath for 6, Wolf, Sorcery Speed, creating 3 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with Vigilance, scrying for 3, Golden Tail Disciple for 3, 3/2 with Lifelink, and the Dragonfly Suit for 3 is a 3/2 with Flying Crew for 1. Woof! That's the complete set, you guys. We've done it. We've done it all. Holy Toledo. So, what was your favorite card that we revealed here today? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it all to your friends. And now, for those of you who made it the whole way, we can show you what we've been working on, right? This is the magic. So, stay with me here. We have, I believe, 22 plus decks or something here. We had to, so 21, 22 here. Because we just couldn't stop making ideas, right? We just go on and on and on and on and on, my friends. So we got a little bit more work to do, filling some of these out later on. But we have green, white, modify / landfall, green, white, enchantment / self-mill, Mardu, enchantment / chip damage, Abzan, enchantment / recursion, bringing things back from the grave, Jeskai Valley, which is a crazy looking deck so far. Also the Abzan Chariot, or the vehicle self-mill, seems to be interesting. Azorius Wandering Tempo, super excited about this as well. Tomeo, I'm gonna try to make it work. I'm gonna do my best to make Tomeo work. The new Planeswalker, right? The Completed Sage. No emblem on it, which is interesting. Esper Artifacts, Lookout World, right? Dimir Ninjutsu, this looks very, very promising as well. Rakdos Aggro will be as oppressive as it always has been. Mardu Samurai, really interested in trying to make this work. I don't know if it's going to be competitive. I certainly hope so. Mardu Reanimator, this looks healthy once we fill it out. Abzan Enchantment, which we can actually get rid of because we already did that. Brule Aggro, this looks nice. The Rakdos Artifacts looks pretty decent as well. Artifact Burn, which might be the same, but it also might just be mono red. Mono white, mono black control. Boros Aggro, 2 different variants of it. One will be vehicle driven, the other will just be regular, kind of old school, right? So lots of ideas, and you know, we've got 4 more days until the set comes out. I guess it'll be 3 because I'm probably done for the day here, which is really cool. So if you guys are interested in any specific deck, archetype, card in general, let me know in the comments below, and maybe you'll be lucky enough I'll make a deck about it. So with this all out of the way, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you're looking forward to Milky Smooth version 12. Oh, I gotta hook you guys up. I mean, some of these videos are not lacking in value. There's a ton of value. But a sneak preview to those of you who've stayed the course. So, we reached Mythic rank 75 with the deck, flawlessly slaying it. You know what I mean? Absolutely killing it. Let me get my camera down here a little bit so you can see the changes that we made from version 11. So we're not on Snowlands. I've seen a ton of people running Snowlands. Get those out of there. Cave of the Frost Dragon does feel very good, but we've actually, you know, adjusted the amount of lands we have in the deck, as you can see. So there's 22 lands here already, which is typically what we're running, but we've incorporated another 2 with Emiria Shattered Skyclave. Angels are cool, giving the field indestructible is awesome, and it stops the mill deck, right? Those are the reasons we're running it. And then we have Kabiria's Takedown as well. We no longer have Snowlands in the build, so we're safe to use some of these Mo Dual lands, which really adds some consistency to the build, right? Destroying other creatures is fantastic because we go quite wide with our own field state. Other than that, the deck is the same. Allenbach Escort turn 1 into Luminarch Aspirant turn 2 is nearly unbeatable if your opponent has another creature deck. Like mono, I don't think I lost a single match to mono green on my way into Mythic, right? Absolute woofers. So this was the deck that I used to reach Mythic rank number 75, if we rip this up for you guys. 74 actually, which is really cool. Just the other day, and we've not played since. So, you know, our rank has kind of slipped a little bit, but, you know, making those new decks, just getting ready for Kamigawa in general. Again, thank you all so much for your time and attention. I hope you have a magical day. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it to your friends, and maybe watch some other content as well. Financial support is also super duper dope, but not necessary. What is necessary is that you have, like I always say, a magical day. We'll see you soon in the next.